Let's talk about IEDs, irrational emotional discharges. It's a constant battle fighting our mindsets after we've been traumatized. So, since this is a battle, let's talk in battle terms. We already know that on the battlefield, there are what we call improvised explosive devices. And these are booby traps that the enemy puts underground so that you don't even know they're there. Now, the way it works is that once the soldier steps on that, you don't necessarily get a result from just stepping on it. What happens is when they bring their foot off of the device, it explodes and causes all kinds of damage. Now, I'm calling triggers irrational emotional discharges, IEDs. And what these irrational emotional discharges do is they set themselves up just below the surface. We're functioning. Hey, we're survivors. We've done what's necessary to get through it, right? And so we are just going along with our lives, and then something will happen and it will trigger us. And we have these irrational emotional discharges. That's what I'm calling triggers in this situation. And what these irrational emotional discharges are based in is irrational and unrealistic lies we've told ourselves about and as a result of our past. They're subconscious. They're insidious because they exist just below the surface, and they actually rule our lives because they're based in the lies that we've told ourselves. Now, we're walking around, we're going through life, we handling our business, right? Like for me, I was pretty good on the job, got a lot of awards and everything, but at what? One or two breakdowns, nervous breakdowns, because my life was chaotic. And I had trouble even in my career because my boss told me once I was unapproachable. And she was right. I was about ready to cuss her out for telling me that because that's who I was back then. But she was right. I was just tense and tensed up inside, and you never knew what bag I was coming out of. So I was living a life of these irrational emotional discharges. Now, these irrational emotional discharges would occur whenever an individual reacts to a here and now situation based on emotions triggered by the past. And I've said this in numerous videos. It's like getting snatched back to the past, but it's not serving us well because we're emotionally responding to situations that aren't even the way we're perceiving them. It looks to us like somebody misunderstood us or accused us, or somebody might remind us of somebody that did us wrong in the past, and we don't know why we don't like their behind. We just don't like their behinds, right? Or we get off in arguments, or we fly off the handle. That's irrational emotional discharges. Now, I say that these IEDs exist in what I call Minefields. Now, they're called MINE fields in real battles, in war. But I call them Minefields because that's where these insidious beliefs, perceptions, and thoughts exist, in these minefields. And just as in minefields in war, they're planted with explosive devices, so our minefields are replete with destiny-destroying landmines. We don't know we're about to be triggered 1 second to the next, but there we go. So that's why I wanted to discuss this with you today. One false move and you're caught up in an IED designed to keep you off focus and sideline your destiny. Now, there's a whole lot that goes into not only the beliefs that we develop, but how trauma twists how we perceive things around us. So we couldn't get drawn into a trigger unless we perceived some kind of threat that caused us to emotionally and irrationally respond to the stimuli. In the here and now, give you an example. One day my boss called me in, and all this guy wanted to do was to encourage me to go back to school and get my degree. Now, I'm still with nothing but benevolence in that. He didn't have to even give a rip. Now, I'm talking from today's Linda looking back. He didn't have to even give a rip about whether or not my career moved forward or whether I finished a degree. But I was perceiving something completely different. I cried and cried and cried, and I did not respond well to that. I wish I could remember what I said to him, but I was hurt to my core. Now, that was an IED because that man wasn't trying to hurt me. He wasn't accusing me of anything. He was just telling me, I really want to see you get your degree so that you can move forward in your career. Now, that's a real incident. That's a real IED. Now, what I want us to understand is that these IEDs are different for each one of us in multiple different situations. So we have to understand that, for example, if you're the type of person who has been shut down and you shrink back from conflict, let's say that there's a situation where there's an argument to ensue. It wouldn't even have to be an argument, okay? Let's say somebody disagreed in a conversation. Now, some of our IEDs would be shrink back, don't engage, don't even tell our side of the story, don't even explain our perspective on it. Some of us will go to the mat, argue and point, just argue. Both of those are irrational emotional discharges. And they just were different because of the different ways that each of us dealt with or failed to deal with our past trauma. Okay. So getting your voice shut down and not being able to speak up for yourself in an interpersonal relationship or on the job or whatever it is, whatever causes you to react over the freaking top about something is an ID. Now, I'm talking to you about us, but you probably see this play out in other people. Now, imagine you got two traumatized people in a room. One acting out over here based on their trauma, the other one acting out over there based on their trauma. Trust me, ain't crap getting done right now. Ain't nothing getting accomplished because everybody's in IED mode. Now, there are things that you can do to help you to see these things coming before they detonate. And it's going to probably involve you involving other people you trust in your life. See, I've had it happen to me where I was just all up in arms and I just knew that I was right about something. But having asked somebody else who was in the room at the time, they didn't get that. Just like, no, I didn't see it like that. Or that's not what they said. And I was so darn sure of my perspective on the matter that I got mad at them for telling me that. How you gonna tell me that that's not what they said? How you gonna tell me that's not what went down? But everybody sees things differently. And if you could have somebody you could bounce things off of, in any situation, whether it's a girlfriend and you're bouncing off something in an interpersonal relationship with your partner, or whether it's a colleague that you've got that's also your mentor, you can bounce things off of. Maybe, look, let me tell you this though. I have written so many emails and didn't send them. Okay? I wised up. Because I'm telling you, I know how to rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat. And so many times I would have regretted it if I would have sent that. So I've learned how to even just write it down. Just get it out, however way you're feeling it at the time, and then don't send the email. Or better yet, write it out so that you don't accidentally send the email, because that could be a mess right there, okay? But you got to figure out a way to this is my greatest. Do this. Always remember that just because you see something a certain way does not mean you're seeing it the right way. If we could just accept that, so that, say, we don't catch this irrational emotional discharge before it goes off, but afterwards we are able to pull ourselves back and go sit down and do some thinking, then just remember, okay, all right, I reacted like that. I could be wrong. And just because I'm seeing it this way does not make that the right way to see this thing, because our perspectives get so twisted by trauma. See, think about it. In order to have a perspective on something, you have to perceive of it. So say ABC happens, I perceive that ABC happens, but I'm perceiving ABC from a traumatized perspective through traumatized glasses, okay? Based on seeing ABC through these traumatized glasses, by the time it hits my brain, it's hitting it absolutely differently than ABC objectively went down. I am making decisions. I am responding based on what I perceived through traumatized glasses. This is what has us messed up in relationships of all kinds. I'm making decisions based on a traumatized perspective that is twisting reality. So every decision I make because of that perspective is going to be wrong. Choosing the wrong boyfriend, choosing the wrong career, responding to a boss the wrong way. If you're passive aggressive, they tell you to do A, you do B. Please. Look, it's just a holy mess waiting to happen. It's a hot smoking mess in our outcomes. So I just wanted to give you a couple of tools. What I learned in my professional career was that all of the times that they sent us to emotional intelligence training really didn't benefit it. Please, look, I didn't see any change anywhere, least of all in me, after going to 2 or 3 of those trainings. And after I retired, I did some research, and the research indicated that even if you're not traumatized, that going and sitting in the class talking about emotional intelligence is going to have no effect on the organizational culture at freaking all. And I found out that that's because even if you're not traumatized, where that transformation, that internal transformation from an emotional intelligence standpoint has to occur as you apply those principles in real life situations. And even though we get these emotional intelligence trainings on our jobs, really the transformation that has to occur for us to become more self-aware and more emotionally intelligent has to occur in our everyday personal lives as well. And because there's no accountability, there are no coaching, no mentoring in that regard. I went to a class. Now add all of that to the fact that emotionally traumatized people are not going to be able to respond well to the emotional intelligence training. And then you just got a cluster, you know what? I ain't even going to say the alphabet. It's just not going to work. So I did the work. I spent months creating this masterclass on emotional intelligence just for the emotional intelligence survivor. I am one, so I understood how that stuff played out in my life. I'm going to put a link below so that you can go and check out the masterclass. See if that's something that might benefit you. By the time you get to the end of that, you have the actual step-by-step game plan that's going to walk you straight out of trauma brain so that these IEDs no longer rule your life. I'm just saying, put a lot into it. Take a look and see if it's something that might benefit you. Also, why don't you take advantage of the complimentary breakthrough session I'm offering you? Just go to the link below, click through, make your 30-minute appointment at no cost. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk about what's your challenge and what would your life look like if that challenge wasn't there. And then as we speak, I'll be able to tell whether or not I would be a good fit with you. You'll be able to tell whether I would be a good fit with you. And then we can talk about possibly getting you on a specialized, customized program to walk you through to victory and to clear that trauma fog out of your head. Because look, been there, done that. Okay. Anyway, always remember your greatest power is realizing the truth of who you are. Know that truth. Hey, if you like what you see here today, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you know when we upload, and like and share the video. Thanks.